Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. I'm Edlyn France, the reality check coach. Today I want to talk about something that really changed my life, and that was my diagnosis of Graves' disease. So when I was 19, I was diagnosed with Graves' disease and I had no idea what it was. And to be honest, still to this day, I still kind of try and wrap my head around understanding the depths and the scale of what overactive thyroid Graves' disease is. So let's just talk about Graves' disease a little bit. Graves' disease is a type of hypothyroidism. Now, the thyroid gland is in your throat. And what happens is it releases excess hormones, which leads to an array of symptoms. And it can also lead to other diseases that can be really, really detrimental to your health. So, Graves' disease in a nutshell, and this is on the Yale Medicine website, Graves' disease in a nutshell is an autoimmune disorder that impacts the function of the thyroid gland, leading to excess hormone production that results in symptoms such as increased heart rate and metabolism, as well as other serious complications if left untreated. So let's just have a quick look at the symptoms of it. So symptoms can be weight loss despite an increased appetite, rapid or irregular heartbeat, nervousness, irritability, trouble sleeping, fatigue, shaky hands, muscle weakness, sweating or trouble tolerating heat, frequent bowel movements, and enlarged thyroid gland, or called the goiter, which is in your throat. So let's rewind. I literally had my 19th birthday. I remember it so well. I looked cute. I looked 10-10. I just felt good. We went out to just a local bar, a local club, and it was amazing. I had a great time and I felt I was feeling myself, and I was 19. I mean, most 19s are feeling themselves. And I was definitely not short of attention at this age. I had the perfect body. I walked into a room with such confidence. I I was just feeling myself. I had no trouble getting guys. I was 19. Ow, ow, ow. And then literally 3 weeks later, everything changed. Everything changed like that. No warnings that I remember, but I don't even know if I could actually. I don't remember a lot from that time anyway, because I feel like I've blocked out a lot of stuff because of trauma, but no warnings that I can remember. I just know that 3 weeks after my 19th birthday, I didn't look the same. I looked like I had lost a lot of weight. Now, I don't know how much weight I did lose in those 3 weeks, but I think what overactive thyroid did to me is it made me look drained. It made me look like that. And another thing that Graves' disease specifically does, which is thyroid eye disease, um, Graves' disease actually pushes your eyes forward. So I think there's some swelling or some sort of fluid that gathers behind the eyes, and it makes your eyes protruding eyes. So it pushes it forward, and then you have a more bulging eye effect. That started to happen as well, and I was having all sorts of eye situations, gritty feeling eyes, like it would feel like there was like a rock or something in it. When you blink, it was awful. I would have like styes or little lumps, and then my whole eye would swell up. I looked a mess. I looked awful. This is how I felt at the time. At the time, I felt I looked absolutely disgusting. And that's not to say that anyone going through that feels this way or looks this way. I'm just letting you know how I felt. As a 19-year-old who was attractive and felt beautiful and felt confident in aesthetically wise, it's not like I didn't have any other traumas or issues, because I did, which is, I'm going to lead that on to probably why I think I got this disease in the first place. But aesthetically, physically, I did have quite a lot of confidence. And for once in my life, I couldn't recognize myself. So, one of the other ways that I realized that something was wrong, and this might have been within those 3 weeks, to be honest, I was with an ex partner, and he woke me up one night and he said, I can just hear your heart beating like through the bed. He could hear it, he could feel it. My heart was just boom, boom, was just beating. I had noticed that as well. I had noticed that my heart rate was just doing something that I had never felt before. I've never really noticed my heartbeat, and I could really feel my heart just doing stuff that was unusual and irregular. So that was another thing. And hot flashes. Oh my God, the hot flashes. I would just get hot, just a heat sensation. And it would always happen when I'm doing my makeup, which was so annoying. I'd be doing my makeup and then whoosh, I just feel this heat. And then that's it. My makeup's ruined. I'm like, oh my God, then I have to cool down. I have to literally go out. That's another thing. I remember I used to walk around, it was winter. I used to walk around with the thinnest piece of jacket, the thinnest, or nothing. I was just always hot. So I remember I bumped into my auntie one time and she just looked at me like she didn't understand how I was walking around, not feeling the cold, but I was always so warm. Or I would get warm, especially when I was doing stuff like walking around or like, oh my God, getting on the tube, forget it, forget it. So that's another way that I realized something was wrong. And also, because your hormones are out of whack, your behavior starts to change. And boy, did my behavior change. I think one of the highlights of that time, and I look back now and I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I did this. Me and my ex were having issues. And I can't even remember how this even came about. I don't even know if a lot of my friends know this, but I poured water on his laptop. Yeah. I literally poured it and I just saw it go dead. I was just so angry at whatever we were going through, and that's how much my hormones were out of whack. I was emotional, I was angry, I was irritable, I was everything. And I knew something was wrong. Something was clearly wrong. It was just so many things. And so the symptoms were very, very evident and very, very prominent. So I went to the doctors and I can't actually remember the process, but I think when I explained to them what was going on, I think they already had an idea. They were like, yeah, this bitch is good. Really, really tough time in my life. And just knowing that it could lead to other things, it could lead to blindness because of the eye disease, if it's left untreated and you're not doing what needs to be done. And the fact that it affects the heart, it can lead to heart diseases and all sorts of stuff. So it was a really hard time in my life. It really was. This was also a time where I discovered my mental health because I really beat myself up during this time. I felt awful and I was not nice to myself at all. I was very harsh with myself. I talked to myself like absolute dog shit. I can't even lie. I despised the way I looked. And because of the hormones, there was a lot of negative self talk. A lot of negative self talk. I literally hid for like about a year. I don't think I have many pictures. I think there's one picture when I went out with some friends because I thought, you know what? I need to start living my life. I'm not going to harm myself. So I have to start accepting that this is my new norm. This is my new reality. But I hibernated. I just stayed home. I didn't want anyone to see me. I didn't want to be seen. I was also I think I was a bit in denial of what I had. I knew I had, I think just the physical, I don't know. I was in some sort of denial, but at the same time, I wanted to hibernate. I didn't want no one to see me. I actually remember going out one day. I think I went into the town. I had to go to the mall, and I saw someone that I knew from before. I think it was a guy who might have had some sort of interest in me at some point. I can't remember who he was, but I know it was a guy. The way he looked at me and spoke to me, and he with genuine concern, but he just looked at me like, what's happened to her? Why does she look like that? It was so confusing to people. And it's not a popular disease that I've never heard of it. And it's not something that many people that I spoke to knew what it, even nowadays, when I explain it, it's only because I put disease after Graves that people are like, oh, whoa, what's that? But they don't know what it is most of the time. So yeah, he just looked at me with such concern, and I could see it in his face, to go from someone who's could be chased down the street to be asked, oh, how old are you? Like, yeah, you look good, to someone who's looking at you like, why does she look like that? What's happened? The thought of that really, really was tough to deal with, really tough to deal with. So yeah, I battled with low self-confidence for a good couple of years. I think between 19 and 20, so it was about a year that was really, really tough, maybe 2 years of intense eye issues, the palpitations. I was on beta blockers at some point. Early on in the diagnosis, I was on beta blockers. I came off of that quite maybe a year after. Being in remission and then going back onto medication, being in remission, going back onto medication. So there was like a 2-year period where it was so yiggy yaga. It was everywhere. And it was a lot. It was a lot. I think that's the time where I really dealt with low confidence and low self-esteem. And I think in my adult life, I've realized that a lot of times where I haven't put up boundaries and self-esteem issues have been embedded in me due to my childhood and things that happened during my childhood. But the physical sense of it, where I started to think of myself as less than, that happened after I was diagnosed and after all the physical symptoms. Because when you start to see yourself in other people's eyes, or what you think other people are seeing you as, it really affects you. And I used to meet people and just think, oh, they're looking at my eyes, or my eyes are bulging. Oh, I don't look as pretty because of my eyes. And I wanted them surgically pushed back. I wanted them to surgically fix my eyes. But I was told on numerous occasions that I didn't have a severe thyroid eye disease. It wasn't as severe, whereas to the NHS would do that for me. So within those 2 years, it was tough. It was tough. A lot of battles, internal battles, and physical battles. My body was going through a lot of anxiety, a lot of stress. And then I actually got into a relationship. I think things got a bit better. I think my body started to be able to handle it a bit better and take to the medication a bit better. I was also a bit more consistent with my medication, because at first I wasn't the best. And I got into a relationship which was really, really he was a great person, like a really good person to me. And my thyroid was actually under control. I was off medication for a good couple months, a good several months even. I think this is the first chunk of being in remission, like real remission, that I actually went through. And I do credit it to having a positive, calm, safe space in that partner at the time. And then I went to uni and did all this kind of stuff. Like, I really started to rebuild myself and start to get that self-confidence and that thing. And my eyes, although they never went back fully, they definitely softened. They definitely weren't as protruding, weren't as irritable as they had been. So I think from about 22 years old, that's when I started to feel myself again. And I started to get a bit more attention again. And, it's unfortunate that I felt that I had to be validated from the outside world. That is unfortunate. And that is something that I have battled with in my adulthood, in my 20s, feeling the need of having validation from outside. And I hate that. I hate that. And that's something that I don't even care about these days. But at that time, when I was 22, that is what helped me to gain a bit more confidence. At the time, I'm not going to lie, it did. So through my 20s, I think I had to deal with a lot of acceptance. I had to learn to accept myself, accept that this is my new norm. This is my life now. This is me now. I am the girl with big eyes, and I have to fall in love with that. My eyes were quite small, and I do remember I used to get a lot of compliments about my eyes, that I had nice eyes. So it was a lot for me to accept that this is my new norm now. This is how I look now. These are my eyes. And funny enough, nowadays I get a lot of compliments about my eyes, and I still have that voice telling me, like, yeah, right, they're just big, so you're just noticing them. But a lot of people say you have beautiful eyes, like, you have such beautiful eyes. They look at me, they talk to me, and I get that a lot. It took a lot of acceptance, a lot of just accepting who I am. This is me. There's nothing I can do about it. I need to learn how to enhance my beauty. If I feel like it's too big, let me learn how to do some eye makeup that pushes it back. Let me do something that just kind of makes my eyes not protrude so much. I had to learn to deal with it, deal with what I have, work with what I have, and accept who I am, because I'm not going to change. So for the last 4 years, I have been in remission. And I do credit that to food. Food is so important. I it's unfortunate because the NHS they don't really talk about food, which is really annoying. A lot of the doctors don't really talk about food, and every time I spoke to doctors about my thyroid and connecting it to food from my research and from flare-ups, it would be like, oh yeah, just keep a balanced diet, but take the medication, which was really annoying. And then I read a book that was written by a doctor. Anyone who has Graves' disease, hyperthyroidism, get this book. Get this book. And I like reading, but I'm the type to read a book, like half a book, and then read the other half next year. But with this book, the way I read through it, I read through the whole book because it was so interesting and I finally felt seen. It talks a lot about the mental side of it and how a lot of it is mental. And it's right. I feel like once I started to tell myself and talk to myself nicer and accept and be grateful and be mindful of things and myself, it changed a lot of things. But this book talks about what to think about and what to do. And it's called What You Must Know Before They Try and Zap Your Thyroid Away with Radioactive Iodine, because that was the next step for me. They were like, okay, this has been going on for too long. We'd rather you have underactive thyroid that we can manage than overactive thyroid, which is more harmful. And so they wanted to get rid of my thyroid with radioactive iodine or surgically remove it. I didn't want that. The way I would pray, I do not want that. I don't want to have to take medication for the rest of my life. That didn't seem like a solution for me. That you're going to take one illness away and give me another because the other is more manageable. How is that my only options? So this book really helped me. It talks about foods and things that you should eat and things you should avoid. And even at the back, it has recipes. It has recipes at the back, but it explains everything. And they also talk about vitamin D and how that is connected to your thyroid, which I actually highly believe. So this book is so good. I think I got it from Amazon. I'll try and get the link and put it below. Although I didn't follow it completely, it definitely gave me a good template. And I started to implement a lot of the foods and a lot of the herbs and anti-inflammatory foods, which is great because you have to remember it's the thyroid gland, which is now inflamed. So you want something that's going to uninflame it. So anti-inflammatory foods. I have a lot of ginger, turmeric, garlic. Those are staples. Ginger, turmeric, garlic. Those are staples in my kitchen. And I make a lot of teas where I just put ginger and garlic in a food processor and I will literally put that into hot water with some black pepper to activate the turmeric. I'll add some cloves because cloves is just so good for, it's good for female health as well. Like it's good, it's antioxidant, antibiotic, antiseptic. It's a good natural antiseptic for the insides. And that's from, if you're a woman, drink clove water. Trust me, girl. I do think that me changing the way I eat and being mindful about how I eat and being mindful about what I put into my body. And even when I eat stuff, I research what I'm eating. I tell myself, okay, these bitter leaves are doing this to me. This ginger and turmeric is doing this to me. I tell myself what these things are doing to me. And I honestly feel like this helps. And now I just practice gratitude because of what I've been through. I got through that. And every milestone, even when I was in remission for a month or two or three, I just made sure to practice gratitude, to be grateful, to be present in that moment, to be happy in that moment, and to be present in it, to accept it, to feel it, to understand, okay, I'm getting better. I'm getting better. That's where I am. I'm not, oh, I'm not taking medication for now. No, I'm off it. I'm done. I think it's really important to practice healing mindset, healing foods. You have to be kind to yourself because this disease is quite ruthless. For anyone who's just been diagnosed, I'm telling you, food and mindset, food and mindset, food and mindset. Block out all the noise, focus on food and your mindset, and I promise you, it will get better. Keep having those blood tests and keep checking those levels and find out if those levels are getting better or getting worse. That's really important because then you can know what you're doing and how to adjust. But think about anti-inflammatory foods and keep a food diary. See when those symptoms are flaring up. because it could be related to food. So check that. But I would say majority protein and veg. If you're going to have any, I think it's called cruciferous veg. I can never say that word, which is like kales and broccoli. Make sure that they're cooked. Make sure that they are cooked. They're really good for you, but they have to be cooked. Bok choy as well, really good for you, but cook it. And lifestyle, you know, alcohol, smoking. I did all these things and they didn't help at all. They didn't help. They literally, I could feel it. I could feel it in my body. I could feel the tremors getting more tremory when I would do these things in excess, which is something that does happen when you're going through stuff. Sometimes you want to mask it with coping mechanisms, but these things have to be cut down. I'm telling you, they have to be cut down. They are not going to help you. Cut them down, if not cut them off for a while. Take breaks. Health is wealth. Health is wealth. And this disease can lead to other stuff. So you need to combat it at some point. You have to combat it. And I'm not even trying to scare you or nothing, because I've had it. And I know that with the nervousness and the anxious and stuff, anytime when I had my thyroid, when my thyroid was really was prominent, if I saw anything that says thyroid or anything that says anything, my heart would go done. My heart would just be pounding. So I don't want to scare you, because it's nothing to be scared of. You can do it. You can fight it. It's fine. Like, that is a given. I'm 4 years now, 4 years in remission. You can fight it. So don't even let this even make your heart rate feel anything, because you got this. You got this. Lifestyle. You have to remember, it's a lifestyle change. It's not a phase. It's not a oh, I'll do this until my thyroid gets back to normal. It's a lifestyle. You're changing your life now. You have to. There's no other option. If you wanted to change your life and you've always been telling yourself and you couldn't actually do it, this is your time. Now your life is changing. And look at it as positive. You're going to be in a life that you're having all these nutrients. You're going to be in a life where you're mindful, where you're grateful, where you're accepting, when you're living in the present. You're having a new life that's going to be more fulfilling. I promise you. You're making lemonade out of lemons, you know? You have this disease, and what it's going to make you do is change your life for the better. So it's not all bad, I promise you. And here I am today, you know? I've made it through this journey. I've made it through this illness, and I'm still working on myself in terms of health and wellness and mental wellness. It's an everyday thing. It's an everyday thing. We are all a work in progress, but as long as we are in work, we are working towards that, we're doing the right thing. So if you are suffering with this disease, I promise you, you can fight it. I promise you. I've done it. I've also spoken to people who have done it. You can fight it. You can fight it. And if you're anything like me, you never use this as an excuse. I spent years having a lot of issues with friends and family and myself, and I would never, it's like I forgot I even had an illness, a disease. I forgot, and I would never use it as an excuse. This is my permission to use it as an excuse. Use it as an excuse if you need to. And I'm not saying, you know, lean on it and feel sorry for yourself. I'm just saying, if you're fatigued, be fatigued, accept that you're fatigued, and let others know. If you're feeling irritable, be irritable, accept that you're irritable, and let others know. If you're feeling anxious, be anxious, accept that you're anxious, and let others know. But also work on these things. You know, with anxiety, I drink a lot of chamomile tea. I pray, because the Bible says, lean on God with your anxieties, like give your anxieties to God. So find ways to ease yourself, because you don't have to suffer alone. Like this video if this has helped you, and please share this video. This is a really important video for those who are suffering with any type of autoimmune disease, but specifically Graves' disease, and share it to anyone that you may know that is suffering this disease. I really want to get the algorithm up and in my favor with this video specifically, because it's such an important video. I want to share my story. I want you to relate. I want you to be able to see yourself in me if you are suffering from this, and to see that there is a way out. You will make it through, I'm telling you. And get that book. Get that book. I'm praying for you. I'm praying for you. You've got this. And yeah, subscribe to my channel if you want to see more videos like this, and comment below if you have dealt with this illness, what you did, any tips for others who are dealing with it. And let me know where you are today. I love success stories. I love to see people who have made it through and how they are doing today. So thank you for watching, and until next time, bye friends.